Morning everybody, this is the conclusion to the few parts that you've been watching for my own personal kitchen makeover using Farrow and Ball paints. Now can you tell how echoey we are in a room when there's no junk in it? Now wait for the kids to come home and there'll be bags and everything just dumped on the side and we'll never have it as clean as what it is now. Now when I first started the video, I wanted to say about painting a kitchen out and how I went about doing it, and I've shown you hopefully through the segments how I go about painting a room, because it's whether it's a room, being a kitchen, a lounge, a bedroom, the principles are still virtually the same. You're doing the ceiling, you're doing the walls, and you're doing the woodwork. Now this room, I'm actually on the third day, I'm talking to you on to the third day, but I'd actually completed after 2 days. Now the first day was doing the ceilings, I did some spot priming and touching up and I did some woodwork, and then the second day came, i.e. yesterday, which I've been speaking to you, finished off woodwork and I completed the walls. Now I've used all Farrow and Ball paints. Not sponsored by anybody, but I've got a Farrow and Ball top, so I thought it very apt that I'm talking about Farrow and Ball. I want to talk about Farrow and Ball because, as you know, and I will pan round in a little while and show you what I have been doing, because another video was painting the kitchen units all the way around like that. I've painted kitchen units. If you want to watch that video, there'll be a video just there. But let's just talk, because people say about Farrow and Ball paints not being durable, hard wearing enough. You've got to know your product, you've got to know what to use where. Now I've gone for, on the ceiling, Estate emulsion, and that was in Ammonite. Now I did put the wall and ceiling primer coat on first because we've got that bit of a buffy colour. Do you know what? It made a difference. I know it made it 3 coats, but that ceiling, I'll say, is near perfect. I rolled it. Now clearly rolling's not going to be as good as spraying. You get a slight texture. I don't want to elaborate on the texture. You get a slight pimply texture because you've used a roller, whereas when I sprayed you get a virtually flawless finish. I have to accept that. But that ceiling, there's no flashing on it. It is a solid, good colour ceiling. No problem there. Did the coving as well. You can see that there. Coving's done. Now I came to the walls. Now the walls, as you remember, I'd already got that buffy colour on and I just spot primed with some mid-tones wall and ceiling primer, which did help, and ironically, as you remember, it was virtually the same sort of colour. Now 2 coats of the lamp room grey went over there a treat. Now I did add just under, well, I used a 2.5 litre tin and I've got about that much left. A 2.5 litre tin, I did add 100 ml sample canister of the Smith & Rogers Flow and Bond, and it did make a difference. It allowed me to cut in, it also gave me a little bit of extended working time with it, but it did dry nice, and actually the turnaround time of the drying was quite good. I managed to get a coat on in the morning and then later afternoon I got the second coat on. And you do know that I did the woodwork in Ammonite, which is the modern eggshell. I managed to get 2 coats on, i.e. the first primer undercoat on day 1, and I managed to get a second coat, i.e. the first top coat on day 1 as well. So when I came back in yesterday, I actually gave it its final coat of eggshell, the modern eggshell. That then dried quite quickly, again because it's got the Flow and Bond in it from Smith & Rogers. That helps with drying and it makes it a solid base. It also extends the paint. It seems to make the paint go a little bit further. But I got that on, and once that was dry, I went around with some tape. And we go, shock horror, tape. There's no disputing, and people are going to argue till the cows come home. If you want a sharp edge to your woodwork, like down the door frames and top edge of the skirting, the only way you're going to get a sharp edge is with taping it. Argue the case, give us some comments. I can cut in, and I've got decent brushes to cut in. I've got the Arrowworthy Classics I can't cut in as neat as what a tape line will be. And you know, in here, the tape lines is the word I want, impeccable. They are spot on. They are really good. But use the correct tape. If you use a too strong a tape, you might be pulling off some paintwork that's been previously painted on that comes away, if that makes sense. I did this room originally. I've done this from day one. No, I had no tape pull with paint on this woodwork anywhere. Now, that whether that's because I've always done a decent grip coat primer or a decent undercoat's gone on and it's been rubbed down, I'm not sure, but I was expecting, because I was taping up on the same day, I was expecting some areas on the skirting or door frames that might just pull a little bit away, but it didn't do, and I was quite happy actually how it performed. I used a delicate tape. One of them was like the purple tape from Mask, and then I've also used the pink colour, and also a purple tape, because I ran out of the pink, of Q1, which is the very delicate tape, and it was fine. It stuck to the units round there and round there, stuck to the edges there, fine, no issues at all, and it pulled off cleanly, and it's given me a sharp tape edge. Now, I want to touch on a couple of things. Farrow and Ball, don't get me wrong, I love Farrow and Ball, and I do like using Farrow and Ball, but Farrow and Ball comes at a cost. Whether it be the cost of the paint, which people moan about, which to me, I don't think it's that much more money than using other brands. But I have to say, and the little bit of a negative is, when you're using Farrow and Ball, always err on the side of caution that you might be needing an extra coat. And I'm not talking about that wall and ceiling primer or the light or dark tones or mid-tones undercoats used for the woodwork. I'm on about the actual finish paint. And you're going to say, Phil, you're a professional, what do you mean? I'm going to tell you. These doors are ammonite. They were sanded down nicely, just with the Merc pads. And what I did, I went over those, as you saw on the previous videos, I went over with the light tones, which is the undercoat colour for ammonite. I don't think I've got it here. There's the ammonite. Now, I would have thought that colour would have gone on lovely over a white light tones for 2 coats. I came in last night after virtually having everything done. The light had slightly changed because we dipped down a bit darker and had got the lights on in the kitchen. And I could see on this door, if I point there, on the stile and on the rails going across, it just looked a bit grinny. And you're going to say, Phil, what does grinny mean? Grinny means it looks like it's not covered. There's not been the opacity. There's not been the coverage to cover for 2 coats of ammonite. Don't shout at me and say, Phil, you're doing it wrong. It was all brushed. I didn't roll it. I brushed it. I'd got a decent brush. I'd got Arrowworthy Classics, the flat brushes, and I'd got the slash cut for cutting in. But I looked at it and thought, I can see that being a bit see-through. Not everybody would notice it. So do you know what I was doing at 8:30 last night? Yes, I was giving another coat of woodwork paint to the door, the frame, that door and frame, and the only places that I didn't do it was actually the skirting. The skirting looked all right. Now tell me why I would need 3 of this over a light tones undercoat. Surely that should have enough pigmentation in it to actually cover, and it didn't. I wasn't happy. As I say, my wife didn't notice it, but I could see it. That 3rd coat, spot on, spot on. Why is that? Somebody tell me why I'm needing 3 of that. But if you've watched the video where I was telling you how to paint kitchen units, Stifsky Blue, their undercoat is dark tones for Stifsky Blue. Stifsky Blue is that. Did it cover for 2? No, it needed a 3rd coat. The 3rd coat's fine, but 2 coats, it's not covered. So tell me why these colours aren't covering for the 2 coats that's suggested. Because time is money, and I think this is why, and you've seen the thumbnail to this video, why professional decorators don't want to use Farrow and Ball. Is that the case, that professional decorators, or I'm going to say painters, don't want to use Farrow and Ball? I want to use Farrow and Ball. I like Farrow and Ball. The papers are like, the paints are like, the finishes are like. But why is it there is an element that we might not be getting it covering for the 2 coats that goes over its correct undercoat? It's not to do with the brush quality, because I've got decent brushes. What is it to do with? I'm going to put a question out there. If anybody's from Farrow and Ball watching this, answer me this. Do all these paints come from Farrow and Ball mixed in those big vats when you mix, I don't know, 100 gallon at a time, and then get separated into individual tins? Or are these mixed off a mixing machine, i.e. there's a base, either a base 1, 2 or 3, depending on the colour that it's going to be. Are these mixed off a mixing machine? Because I can remember years ago, and even now, paints that come off a mixing machine always seem to be that little bit thinner. They lack the body and opacity compared to the paints that are manufactured and made in a big amount, all in one go at factory. Hopefully that makes sense. If a paint manufacturer is making 100 gallon of Stifsky blue, is that made in a big vat, then tipped into these tins? Or are you making the bases up, and then as and when a colour is required, these colours are being mixed as required? Because I wonder whether there's an element of the paint isn't as good when it comes via a mixing machine. And now some people are going to say to me, a lot of the branches of decorating centres now have mixing machines in their showrooms mixing Farrow and Ball paints. And that is precisely my point. Have we seen a decline in the quality of Farrow and Ball paint since more mixing machines are being used to mix the colour? Not all the time, but a lot of the time I am thinking, is it because they're a mixed paint off a mixing machine and not one that's been manufactured at the factory going out? If that's me only negative, have I done well? They don't call me moaning Phil for nothing. But saying that, this room, and I'm going to pan around now and show you what it's like, is stunning. I said on my earlier videos, we haven't had a new kitchen. We've had an island unit peninsula, which I'm sitting at now, with 2 chairs that we've had to borrow from the shop we've ordered 4 chairs from because they've not arrived in time. But we've had new worktops on, and I've repainted everything to make it feel like a new kitchen. Save thousands, Mrs. Beckwith, we've saved thousands. I've had a new telly. Didn't cost a fortune because tellies are ever so cheap now. But a telly's gone in here. We've moved some plug sockets. We've got a different feel to the room, all with a little bit of thought and effort, I'm going to say, because we didn't think we'd got a big kitchen, but it feels a big kitchen now. Right, on that note, let's just have a pan round of what we look like, and I will sign off and say thanks for listening to this last section of the video. Again, I'm going to say to people, those that give me super thanks and sending me money for buying a coffee, it's much appreciated. It does all go to help towards making these videos on the channel. I know some people moan about me making videos on this channel, but hey ho. Right, Stifsky blue, modern eggshell, ammonite, estate emulsion, the walls. People say about it, it's too shiny. That is not a shiny finish for modern emulsion. That is in lamproom grey. That has a slight sheen to it. It's durable, hard wearing, ideal for kitchens, ideal for high traffic areas. If you are using Farrow and Ball paints and you've got kids, dogs, people touching walls, don't use estate emulsion. You could use the flat matte finishes they've got, but I prefer that, something that's wipeable. Right, dropping down to woodwork. The woodwork here, ammonite, that is in modern eggshell. And albeit it had 3 coats of the top coat. But as you can see, this has turned out to be a lovely kitchen for us. Done on a budget, sort of. And I'm just going to bring you over to the doors that have been taped. If you can see there, that is a lovely sharp line. I could not brush as neat and as crisp as what that is. The same there. I could not do it as sharp and as neat as that. But it doesn't matter, I've taped it. Don't be fearful to use tape. And the last bit I'm going to say to you is, this is where the door was looking grinny. On the stiles, on the rails. The panels weren't too bad, but if I look close, they weren't 100%. But now, that's had the 3rd coat and it's fine. So on that note, everybody, thank you very much for listening to me. Thanks for supporting the channel. And I said in a video not that long ago, I am well over 10,000 subscribers now, which is mind-blowing. If you're watching this, please give us some comments on how many subscribers I've got while you're watching this video, because these videos are here for a long time and hopefully it helps a lot of people out. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help.